There you are. Well, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Pat Kumafani Conversations. This Thursday is a very unique one. Ever since we launched the show a couple of episodes ago, we would host one person, we would host one leader in South Africa. Okay, you may remember that we started hosting the Premier of the Eastern Cape, and we were talking about the Eastern Cape and COVID-19. And then from there, we moved on. Ace Ngobo, we were discussing football and COVID-19. And from there, we moved on to Dr. Rakumetsi, and we were talking about education and COVID-19. From there, we went to tourism, and we had a conversation with the Chief Executive Officer of SA Tourism, Sisa Ntshona, and we were talking about the impact of COVID-19 on tourism in South Africa. From there, we went to Sisa Ngebulana, and we were talking about the property development sector, and we were talking about how retailers are affected by COVID-19. Another great conversation that we had there. Very good afternoon to you, whether you're watching on Facebook Live on Pat Kumafani Conversations, or maybe you're watching on YouTube. Okay, and that's also live. Thanks to the technology that we can get all these victors in the studio. I have a quartet of great victors in the studio. And before I tell you who they are, I need to express condolences and an apology to the Vavi family. Now, if you remember, we were going to have Zwelinzima Vavi. He's one of those prominent South Africans who came out and said, I've got COVID-19, but I'm going to beat you, COVID-19. And you probably will remember, a lot of people had a video clip of Zwelinzima Vavi. And when we were talking about defeating COVID-19, I also dropped him a video back to encourage him. And unfortunately, then last night he lost his uncle, utatomncinci wakhe uye walala, I think ngayo ingxaki ye-COVID-19, and there are other complications at home. And so we kind of agreed that for tonight, then we excuse him, and we want to express our sincerest condolences to the family yakwa Vavi, and wish you all the best. Yiga namayiga onke nje kwimeko enijongene nazo kweli cala laseHewu ngokuphathelele kulo mcimbi we-COVID-19 egqugqisayo kwi-families zethu. Well, when Zwelinzima Vavi couldn't make it, guess what? We had a man, some have been asking what happened to Captain Stembiso on the Queen. Okay, on 161. He is with us. He is also a COVID-19 victor. He beat COVID-19. And so he has joined us, Umlamli Kamangala. Let me greet my panel here today, Madiba Ndaba Mandela. And Madiba, who's joining us. Thank you. A very, very warm welcome to you as well. We've got Sabelo Hlanganisa in Ndaba Ginsberg, King Williamstown, based in Cape Town, working for the city of Cape Town. He is with us. He's very well known in the Western Cape. He also beat COVID-19. So you can see that that's the kind of panel that we have today. Welcome, Joacha. Welcome indeed. Okay, so it is possible that our guests also are having connectivity challenges. Okay, I can see Mlamli trying to enter the studio again. And the other gentleman, the fourth gentleman, you might have seen him on the poster and heard him on the video. He is my son. He's my firstborn, Chuma Mafani, who works in the front line, this man, because he works for emergency services. Ambulances and making sure that they saving lives and all of that. And people that are in the front line, I must say that they are at high risk. All of those guys. I'm going to start with. I know that Madiba, you have another interview at 6, but while you're with us, allow me to begin with you and ask you this important question. How do you think and how do you recall you probably contracted COVID-19? And when that was confirmed, how did it hit you inside? I think your microphone is on mute, Madiba.
Hello.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So when COVID news was spreading generally in the world, I was actually in New York. And so I came back home on the 16th of March. And it was the day that President Cyril Ramaphosa was announcing that, there's a lockdown coming, etc., etc. So he urged all people who were traveling from abroad to go and test themselves. And so the very next day I went and tested myself, and I had to wait a couple of days. I think it was a total about 5-6 days. I was right at the beginning. And yeah, when it finally came to me, when I got the news, I was really, shell-shocked. I was surprised. And sometimes, you go into hot flashes, and now you're thinking, is it the virus or is it my mind? It's what's really happening. And so it was really a moment, I guess, of panic, but it didn't last long. Luckily, I was with a friend of mine, who obviously relayed, the story and gave him the results as well. So that was a bit scary, but I had already started isolating before that, because that was the doctor, the orders from the nurse. So my friend was literally just here bringing me some food, and this is when I got the results. So for me, it was definitely a moment of panic, and it's like the whole world stopped, in that moment. But luckily, I was not alone in the moment.
Okay. Madiba, we're going to come back to you. The most important question today is how I beat COVID-19. And 4 men in the studio have beaten COVID-19. We'll talk about a whole lot of things. We will also talk about what you do to ensure that it doesn't come back to haunt you again. Joacha, I need to come to you as well, Joacha. And how did you get to know that you were COVID-19 positive, and what happened to you?
Thank you so much, Patko. Good evening to the viewers. Around March, when the lockdown was announced, and so one had to remain at home. Then early in April, then I tested. There were some nurses around in the neighborhood where all the community members would go and test. Myself and my family went there for a test. And 2 or 4 days later, we got the results that were negative. And we're so happy that all of us do not have COVID-19. Then early in May, I had to attend to a family matter in King Williamstown at Ginsberg. I had to go and visit my mother with my friends. On our way back from King Williamstown, as we were approaching Colchester, there was a roadblock. When they tested our temperature, it was around 34, 35. When we got to PE in Spa, our temperature was around 35. When we got to the toll gate, our temperature was around 37 in the car. And we kept on asking ourselves, guys, what is going on? And then we thought to ourselves, maybe because we are in the heat of the car, and so the traveling is getting the better of us. Little did we know that in that period, in that process, something was happening. And so we got to Cape Town Wednesday evening. Thursday, Friday, I was feeling very, very sick. And as well as my friends that I traveled with to King Williamstown, Ulunga, no Keke, all of us were sick. I went to the doctor on Saturday, and then the doctor thought it was just a normal flu. Again on Monday, I got so sick. I asked a friend of mine, a neighbor, to drive me to the hospital, where I asked them to test me so that at least I know my status. They tested me on Monday. Then on Thursday, I think it was around Thursday, the 22nd of May, That was when I received a call from the hospital to tell me that I am COVID-19 positive. I must just look at the SMS that they were going to send me. Boom, within a second, I received that SMS. The call between myself and the doctor did not even last a minute. I was just told, you are COVID-19 positive, just follow what is going to be said in the SMS. That was how I got to know that I'm infected.
And emotionally, your reaction, your first reaction emotionally?
When I got that call, I was so shocked that it did not even last a minute. The doctor that I was speaking to did not even advise me what I say, what I would have to do. She just said, follow the SMS. And I was left shocked in my room alone. And I said, this is now the beginning of the battle. And I had to strengthen myself at that moment.
Okay. Well, I remember when people get HIV/AIDS results, there is a certain degree of counseling that goes with a positive status. And what you're telling me now kind of shocks me, that the professionals say, no, just look at the SMS. That's it. You know, it's a bit shocking, you know. Okay, but we'll come back to that. I just want to usher in Mlamli. Mlamli, there's been a lot that has been happening to you. And I won't talk about the Queen tonight. We'll make some other time to talk about the Queen. I want to talk about how you beat that Queen, which is called COVID-19. How did you discover you have COVID-19, and how did you receive that?
I think for me, hardcore, it was a wake-up call, because I'm also a radiographer by profession. So I've got a bit of understanding in terms of the medical sector. It was on the 12th that I think I got it, on the 13th actually. If you remember, I had lost my brother through COVID-19. And on Saturday, my brother's daughter was actually sick, and she had to be taken by an ambulance to hospital. When she got to hospital, no taxi, no car could take her back home. So I'm in Cape Town, she's in Ashton. It's about 2 hours away from here. So I had to drive from here to pick her up from hospital and take her home in Zolani, in Ashton. I dropped her home, I came back, and then we were going to have my brother's funeral on Monday. Then on Monday, I started experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Then when I realized that I've got signs and symptoms, I immediately quarantined from the 15th of June. So I didn't actually go and test. I only realized the signs and symptoms and then decided to quarantine. I only discovered that it was COVID-19 when I started sort of using other things within the house and something like that. But for me to be admitted in hospital, it took Uvui, who is my brother's wife. She came to the house, wanted to see everyone one by one. And that's the time when I literally fell down within a passage while I was walking down. So she then called an ambulance on Sunday. It was on Sunday. And then to do an X-ray and discover that I've got a bilateral or double pneumonia because of COVID-related. So that's my story.
Okay. All right. I need to bring in, let me just welcome a whole lot of people that are watching us on Facebook Live, and some of them watching us on YouTube Live from various places. Later on, I may probably take their contribution. If you happen to have beaten COVID-19 as well and you're watching the show, please drop me a note, and let's also read your comment, or if should you have a question to the gentleman in the studio. Kuma Mafani Chawe, I see that your network is trying to play COVID games with you, but it's great that you're back again. You know, you disappeared and then you're back again. When are you work in the front line, man, in emergency services, and one can imagine that it should be high risk, or one can say, no, those people are supposed to know because they work there. How did you contract it and how did you take it?
Good evening, gentlemen, and to the viewers at home. Listening to my comrades, my story is slightly different, because I in a way I wanted to believe that it's something that could have been prevented. I wanted to believe that maybe I shouldn't have been where I was, for me to believe that that's where I had contracted the virus. So I work for EMS in the private service, and I believe that maybe some measures could have been avoided. Maybe my employer shouldn't have moved me to the base where he moved me, because the base where I was where one of my colleagues was found to be positive earlier, and now I had to move in and work into that space. So my story is slightly different in that manner. I truly believe it's something that could have been prevented had we gone all safety, had we not done some of the things we had done. So yeah.
So you're telling me that they deployed you in an ambulance or EMS base that had people that are COVID-19 and just put you there. They didn't care whether this place was fumigated or sanitized or whatever. They just put you there to work, and that's it.
Well, they say the place was fumigated on the Tuesday, and on Wednesday, some of my colleagues that were contacts of the first case, the first medic we had positive, COVID-19 positive, were back at work on Wednesday, the Wednesday after the fumigation on Tuesday. And those guys had not gone for any testing just yet. They went on Thursday, the following day. And on that same Thursday, I had to move into that same base. So in that manner, then the decontamination that was done on Tuesday is irrelevant, because you cannot decontaminate today and bring in contacts of a COVID-19 positive colleague into the same place. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take one comment from one of the viewers, Candy Swartz. Candy says, I praise God for bringing you back from the ugly hand of the COVID pestilence, gentlemen. It is very depressing to lose people you know and hold dear. Madiba, let me come back to you. What happened in the mind in terms of, did you know that you have a chance to beat it? And in knowing that you have a chance to beat it, what then did you do? I want us, it is now 20 minutes past 5, and I want us to come to the crux of the matter, the determination, the method, the actual fight, your corner man. If it were a boxing ring, you would have had a corner man and a coach. How did you, in knowing that, you know what, I think I got to beat this thing, and what was the first step? Take us through that.
Well, of course, at the time it was still very early on, and there was not much, information that people had. I think so. Being shocked and being a bit scared, I made sure that I, well, firstly, I basically told my family, and then my family prescribed some medicine. So it was the chloroquine now, which some people say it works, some it doesn't. But I took chloroquine. I had some Tamiflu. I had a lot of vitamin C. And I mean, I am a young man, 37 years old. I have 2 kids, young kids. And so you tell yourself that, if I go according to what they have told me to do, quarantine, your health, what you eat, what you put in your body becomes very important. Obviously, you can't drink alcohol. If you smoke, you need to try and cut that down. Now, I also then met another nurse online, because I was doing online shows to update people, Uzama Shezi, who works in Saudi Arabia. And then she, basically prescribed a remedy, ukuthi mawuvuka ekuseni ubhola amanzi, ufake lemon, ufake ginger, and also apple cider vinegar, right? And do that twice a day. And then there was also the steaming method. And ufake ebhaketheni, hot water again, ginger, garlic, even Vicks, and you steam with that as well, twice a day. And because I was so worried, I started researching, what other people are doing in other parts of the world. And I came across Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi was a black doctor in America who actually only used natural remedies and herbs to cure his patients. Now Dr. Sebi was able to cure his patients from HIV/AIDS as well as cancer using natural remedies. And this is where his name now became controversial, because he was now fighting against the pharmaceutical companies, and they tried to discredit him. But you can do your own research. I don't want to go too much into that. But basically, the premise or the thought according to Dr. Sebi, is that no virus can actually exist in a body that's an alkaline body, right? Alkaline. So you have alkaline, you have acidity. So there are foods that increase the alkalinity of your body. And those are the foods that I stuck with. And it's mainly your fruits and vegetables. You talk about your beetroots, your oranges, your lemons, your kales, your parsleys, your spinach, and so on. And of course, I have something that I would like to share with you at the end that you can then disseminate, to the viewers and the listeners who are tuning in. But for me, having family supporting me, having young kids, I just made sure to take, the prescription given by the doctor very seriously, and not see anybody in quarantine during that time. And that's how I did it.
I like the mention of herbs. I like the mention of vegetables, of fruit, and it looks to me that COVID-19 is teaching us to go back to nature. And Joacha, what was your approach? What were you advised to take, and what did you do?
Patco, look, as soon as I was told that I am COVID-19 positive, the first thing I did was to immediately tell my family. Fortunately, it was during the lockdown, and so everyone was here. I gathered, spoke to my wife, spoke to the kids, and because I really needed to get some strength at that moment, and informing the family was so crucial to me. I then told my other family at Ginsberg. I told my friends, we've got different groups up in Gonzweni, where I immediately told them that I am COVID-19 positive. That to me was to say, I am not going to keep this to myself. Secondly, this is not a stigma Anyone can have COVID-19. And so I must break the silence, so that in breaking the silence, I'm gaining more strength. So I told my loved ones in the Eastern Cape, I mean, Patko, I told you, and I told other people who are close to me. And immediately, I received some advice, I received messages of support, and I was even advised as to what to eat and what to drink. Things like the cinnamon, things like the cayenne pepper, things like eucalyptus oil, umhlonyane, and ukufuta. I did that ukufuta on the very day that I was told, Thursday evening. My wife gave me all the different herbs that I was using, and she said, no, funeke uqale ukufuta. I did all that, and I can tell you, all those things helped me in the journey of fighting.
Ukufuta oku, gentlemen, looks like the common denominator. Every person I've come across talks about ukufuta, the steaming, and all of that. And I see contributions. David Makola Brade says, we praise the Lord for all those gentlemen who've managed to beat this virus. I'm also a living testimony who managed to beat this virus. Praise the Lord. That's what David is saying, you know. And here's another question. Somebody spoke about Dr. Sebi, and Koleka Manga says, what's the correct name of Dr. Sebi so that we can Google, please? Have you got Dr. Sebi's full name, perhaps, so the viewers can benefit from that, Madiba?
I don't have his full name, but if you put Dr. Sebi, he will come up. He's literally one of the top Google people that have been Googled, especially now for diet becomes very important, and he's somewhat of a guru, and he died mysteriously. So there's a lot of controversy around Dr. Sebi.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that later on. And somebody says, I'm waiting in anticipation for what Madiba has promised will share towards the end of the show. And I want to get to Mlamli. Maybe you can tell us. You see, there's a transition from the shock and the fear to the determination to work. And what did you do, Mlamli?
For me, Shumaili, giving up was not an option. And I've been also following the writings of Dr. Sebi, who believes that the only disease that actually kills humankind is mucous membrane. So when I followed his teachings together with, when you follow also the death of Napsisi, when he was trying to sort of give indication as to what Dr. Sebi is all about, for me, it was going back to herbs. So when I decided to go back to herbs, it was umhlonyane together with also eucalyptus oil. So I will sort of steam myself with the support of my wife. I have to applaud her, because every time I would steam twice a day, at night and in the morning as well. And she would literally at some time wake me up to check if I was breathing. Because remember, this thing is very cruel. This thing is very cruel. For 2 weeks, Shumai, if I were to tell, for 2 weeks, I don't remember going to the bathroom.
Well, I've decided, sure. I wanted to follow up, and Chuma, I'm coming to you. I wanted to follow up on the question of disclosure, telling family, telling friends. Is that part of arming your mind? Because the mind is at test here, from what I'm hearing from you, gentlemen. The mind is at test. The strength of the mind, So this thing about telling people, about telling family. Mlamli, you even recorded a video, man, while you were in a hospital. Did this disclosure help you to fight? Were you getting feedback from the people that were encouraging you to fight?
Remember, Shumale, for me, I had to tell only my wife. I can hear me.
Okay.
Yes.
Looks like
can you hear me?
we have a connectivity issue on Lamley's side. Chuma, let's come to you. Let's come to you. Okay. Now that you knew that you were COVID-19 positive, and the time to blame the employer probably was gone, and you had to work, what did you do?
Well, like Joacha, one of the first
Chuma, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, Chuma, can you hear me now? If you can hear me, just
I hear you.
wave so I can.
I hear you.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Correct. Go ahead, yeah.
I had to. Okay, so I had to call my father. My father was the first person I called, and my father just happens to be you. And with all the emotion I was going through, with all the panic, and you calmed me down. You shifted my focus. You told me to move from whatever else it was that I was thinking, whoever else it is that I'm blaming, and focus on beating this thing. And when I had listened to you and took your words to heart, and and slept over them, then everything just changed. I knew that we're talking about my life now. We're talking about me and possibly losing my life. And so that's where my mind changed. I had a twin sister also in the passenger seat, and those two people, they really played a critical role in changing my focus. They gave me direction, and the family at large had come in with all these recipes. With everyone was just throwing in their 50 cents, and that was beautiful, man. So from then on, I knew I had to work. And you'd call me just to say, Chawe, we are seven. And obviously I would say yes, I'm on it, I'm working. And at no time was I lying. I just kept working. And fortunately I do weightlifting as well. So I had that in my corner, and I believe it worked to my advantage as well. So yeah, that's how I got my mind together. I had family.
Okay, I need to come back. I need to come back to you, Madiba. Was there a time when you were tempted to give up? When you felt that it was overcoming you? And if there was such a time, then what was the turnaround? How did you turn it around? When you feel that it's overwhelming you, how did you charge yourself back up again?
I was very lucky, to be honest. In the 14, 16 days that I quarantined myself, it was only really 2 days where I felt under the weather. And even at that time, it wasn't really, that severe. So I was very lucky myself. I didn't really go through such a tough battle, But it looks like my brother Lovely, on the other hand, went through something very serious.
And I think it is important for people to know out there if there was any spiritual connection in getting the healing. I mean, I hear there's a contribution here from another viewer, Speech Khawula, saying anointing is one of the ways to fight any sickness. If you believe you will receive healing, no doubt. I know it works. Okay, he's probably talking from a Christianity point of view, gentlemen, after having been in the experience of being diagnosed with COVID-19 and most obviously being, parents. How do you feel the mislead of the president and Angie Motshekga inviting pupils back to school when this pandemic already is penetrating the medics? And when the kids are in no way near being learned about the virus, as their teachers too have little or no knowledge about controlling the virus. Okay, so some people are concerned about children going back to school. Okay, I want to park that slightly. I want to talk about spiritual connection. I want to talk about what is it apart from ukufuta, apart from medication. What was your spiritual connection like? What did you hold on to in terms of your heart and belief, Madiba?
Well, Mhlekazi, obviously, through being raised in our family, we've always maintained the connections, nabakhokho bethu, our ancestors. And, through having spoken to my priest, one of my most powerful answers is Gumakulu. And so knowing that, the work that I do is work to try to empower young people to find the Nelson Mandela within themselves, but more so to be able to give them access to tools and resources so that they can break the cycle of poverty. Now, I do this kind of work all over, but mainly in the Eastern Cape. I'm tired through the foundation. And so, kuna message endizele yona apha emhlabeni. Kunomsebenzi ekufuneka ndiwenze apha emhlabeni. And so, through that, and understanding who you are, I think is another thing that gives you that fighting will to never give up.
I like that. And anybody without a spiritual connection is vulnerable. And anybody that's spiritually confused is even more vulnerable. Somebody has got to have a spiritual resolve.
Yeah.
And Lamli, what was your spiritual tower through the fight? When you're done ukufuta, when you're done taking the medication and you're lying there on your bed and you're thinking, what was this anchor spiritually that kept you going?
For me, Shumaili, now, first of all, I had to hide it the first, second weeks because my mother, I didn't want to actually tell my mother because my mother just lost his son. So what was really carrying me through, never ever underestimate the power of intercessory prayer. Now, at that time, you don't have the power, the zeal of praying for yourself. Never underestimate the power of someone who just calls you and say, let us pray. It feels like, this thing is got a, I was talking to Ujoache and Uspor this. It looks like there's also a demonic thing. Your dreams are not pure. And another doctor said to me, it is called delirium, where the brain just shuts down. Started dreaming about dead people going in the clouds and all these other things. And so you needed intercessory prayer, because at that time, you actually don't even think of praying. Praying is not part and parcel of you just fighting this thing. You just find yourself praying. You don't think about, now it's time to pray. You just find yourself in your knees. So intercessory prayer, what I will appeal to people out there, when people are sick out there, pray for them. They need your prayers. It feels like there is something that has been cleaned. You feel like now I'm revived again, I'm back again. let's fight COVID. Where are you?
Can I get into that part, Patko?
Sure.
On the importance of spiritual importance and the connection. On my first day, when I received, like I told you, when I received the news, ndafuta, okay, that's fine. But strangely enough, as I was doing ukufuta, kwavela kum apha engqondweni i-video that was circulating ka-comrade uVavi. While I was kneeling the footer, then a second thing that happened to me, kwavela ingoma eculwa strangely yi-Reality 7. La ngoma ithi wena uza kimi ngenkepha kanye nomkhonto, mina ngiza kuwe ngegama likaYehova, which is 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 45. As I was doing all that, I then realized, and then I said, you come against me with a sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Almighty. So for me, on the very first day, this then became not just a physical sickness, it then became a spiritual matter. I then escalated my sickness to being a war between the good and the bad, the darkness and the light. And that gave me emotional, physical, and mental strength, knowing that this battle is not mine. I have to fight, and I have the conqueror who is going to fight with me. So it is very important to have that spiritual connection with your God, the Creator.
I need to come in there before you start preaching, because I can feel it that your body is warming up. Ingapi afuta again. Ingapi afuta. I can feel it. I can feel it, man. But there's another aspect here, and Chuma, I'm coming to you. There's another aspect where people want to shy away from the situation you're in, and other people don't watch the news because they might hear stories about COVID-19 having killed somebody. They don't want to listen to the radio and all of that. Did you, Chuma, did you lock yourself away from watching the news? Was it irritating you watching the news, hearing Minister Mkhize this and that about COVID, hearing President Ramaphosa, MEC, and whatever? What did the news do to you, gentlemen? I'm going to move from Chuma and Madiba and Mlamli, just to say, you quarantine and isolate physically, but do you also quarantine and isolate mentally in terms of avoiding things like the news? What did you avoid?
Yeah, so I quarantined my mind from everything. I did not watch TV at all. I stayed in one room, and if I had to go out, I was going to the bathroom. So after talking to family, after talking to you, I had to work. That's all I felt I wanted to do. I was in the room. I had my heater on. I had all my herbs and my mixtures and everything in the room. I had my weights in the room, and that was my world for 2 weeks. So for me, it worked. But I was not watching the TV because of anything like depression of the news and the numbers, how they going. And no, I just wanted to work on the situation at the moment. So for 2 weeks, I was just in the room, and it worked for me.
Madiba, was it important for you to shy away from the world while you were fighting COVID? The world, including the media?
Actually, I did the opposite. I actually started doing Instagram live shows every day, to speak to other young people, especially because those are the people that are tuned into Instagram, and update them about the increases of the virus, not just in South Africa, but the continent, and I'll choose certain countries around the world to update them on. So And then, you know, I'd play music. I was really just keeping people aware that this virus is on the increase. And even though, you know, it seemed as though the numbers in Africa were nothing compared to what's happening in Italy or, you know, or America.
Spain. Mm-hmm.
Or Spain, but it's really, it has taken off now. It is really taking off now here in South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. I read a very, very scary stat, a shocking stat. And I'd like to share this stat with you. It's coming from the NICD of South Africa, right? It says, COVID-19 update, a total of 36,867 tests were conducted in the last 24 hours here in South Africa. There are 8,811 new cases in one day, in 24 hours, in South Africa. And they reported 100 people have died in the last 24 hours. The total number of deaths is now 3,602. This is here in South Africa. So I did not cry away. I was doing my Instagram live shows. There was no TV, mainly online emails. But of course, I was alone. I couldn't go out. I wasn't anywhere else. But I decided to actually engage the public about this disease.
It is 13 minutes to the hour of 6. It's amazing how fast time flies when you're handling positive stuff. When we doing nation building, we run out of time because we're doing nation building. And I truly admire you, gentlemen. You are a quartet, a sample of great victors. There are other victors out there, and some of them they've been writing to me, and there's somebody who's scared of what they call a potential symptom, and they were saying, is there anything like a back pain that's linked to COVID-19? Did any of you suffer a back pain? They worried because they have a back pain. And they're worried about the damn back pain.
It's a waiting game, Chuma. You wait up until you show signs and symptoms. You can only treat what you present at that time. Like for me, I presented with double pneumonia. So I could not treat TB, but could only treat what I presented. People are scared out there. It's normal. But it's a waiting game. It's a waiting game. It depends. Sometimes it might not even present with any signs and symptoms. And when you are worried about today, you don't live today. You miss out on the joys of today. Then when you get tomorrow, there are answers. For me, I was in a public hospital in Kalbrema. There is no cure for COVID-19. There is no cure for HIV/AIDS. However, the public sector is well equipped to deal with the symptoms of COVID-19 or HIV. Let's say HIV presents itself through a TB, they will deal with it decisively. For me, I applaud the public sector because for me, COVID-19 presented itself with double pneumonia. Then they knew exactly what is it that they need to deal with. They were dealing with double pneumonia and they dealt with it within 24 hours. So I would say it's a waiting game. Maybe it's not a good thing to say, but once you are exposed, possibly, and you fight, you win the war, you've also won the battle. Because now you are immune to the virus.
Okay. I needed to come to that. And somebody was asking here, it's Nkosekaya. And Nkosekaya was asking a question. And Nkosekaya was saying, is it true if recovered from coronavirus, you won't get it again and that you are safe? Is that true? I'm throwing it on the table, gentlemen. Please help me. We address this before we wrap up the show. You know.
Look, Chawe. That's for me. That was the question I asked the doctors. Will I get it again? I've got my doctor, Dr. Jafta, who's been assisting me on this issue. Look, he said, if you've got COVID-19 once, I'm not a medical specialist. If you get it once, you are in a much better position than someone who has not gotten it, because the body now is our developer journey to fight the virus when it comes again. It does not mean it will not come again. It does not mean you will not be infected, but the body now has developed a journey. When the virus comes, then the body automatically fights. It will not be as severe as it was in the first time. That was the doctor who gave me that information.
Okay, I just need us, we don't have a lot of time now. I just need us to answer certain questions here. Majek and Luncha, I'm suffering from double pneumonia. Which medication can I use to better my condition? Okay, Mlamli, you go first, and anybody else in the panel can support you.
I think for me, it depends. How do you know you suffer from double pneumonia? The only thing that could actually reveal that is either an X-ray, and if you suffer from double pneumonia, they won't allow you out of the hospital. So if he is in hospital, he's in a safe place, because they are going to actually inject intravenously a drug that will deal with it within 24 hours. So if he's in hospital, he's in a safe place. If he's not in hospital, he needs to go to hospital to be treated for pneumonia. More especially when it's bilateral, it's double. It's very, very dangerous.
Okay, all right. Nonsekelelo Ngapuko, I am positive and under isolation. The critical means like loss of taste and fever, but ngoku ndine back pain and sometimes feel dizzy. Did anyone of you gentlemen come across this dizziness while you were fighting?
Look, for me, Chawe, after I came back from the ICU, remember I was in ICU for about 5 days, and benifumana amayeza ohlukileyo inaliti, and so this ipilisi is 3 times a day. And so I then discovered when I got back, there were some stages where I felt dizzy. So it does happen that process a recovery, or to me, when we ICU and I could hardly walk, and I would feel a little bit dizzy. So this is part of the recovery process, that dizziness. You could hardly do any manual labor because you don't have your strength. You could hardly walk umgama 200 meters, for instance. And so that dizziness will come. But as time goes on, then you'll recover and gain some strength.
Yeah.
Okay, great stuff. It is okay. You wanted to add something there?
Yes, Ndaba I still have that. I'm negative now. Coughing maybe lasted up until yesterday, but I still, as I was talking to Joacha today, when is this thing going to end? Because I still feel the dizziness is still there, but over time, I'm hoping it's going to fade away.
Okay. All right. Okay, gentlemen, I will go around the table and ask you a very important question. Your best advice to anybody watching the show who probably has not contracted the virus yet. But there's a comment here from Mbengo Lubabalo, and Mbengo saying, if you thought COVID-19 is far from you, think again, because it's closer than you think. Mr. Mandela, good to see you. I didn't know you were infected because the last time I saw you, you were in perfect health. Life is unpredictable. Okay, I think I'm going to give each one of us here, and Madiba, I'll begin with you. And there's even stuff that you put on hold and you promised the viewers that you were going to talk about towards the end of the show. And I would love us to get to that as well. Madiba, if I were to give you 2 minutes, okay, let's call it 1.5 minutes, to talk to somebody that is exposed, somebody that is exposed, and somebody that is at high risk or somebody that is positive, and you have an opportunity to motivate them, what would you say?
Well, you know, like we said earlier, ladies and gentlemen, at some point, you know, you are not in control. And that is why that spiritual connection is so important. That is why prayer, family, your community is so important. So yes, you have to quarantine. And I know for many of our people, it's not easy to quarantine because of the living condition, you know, that they're in. But control what you can, social distance, you know, washing your hands, cleanliness is very key. But ultimately, you know, we have to live our lives in a much more conscious way, watching what we put in our bodies and making sure that we keep a clean environment at all times.
Okay. All right. And Joaka?
Chawe, if I were to give a message Kumdu or who is COVID-19 positive, I would say it is very important to have your mental and your spiritual strength. Post-COVID-19 can be defeated. It's very important to know that. Two, COVID-19 does not necessarily have to be a death sentence. There are people who have survived. So when you got positive COVID-19, it does not mean you are automatically going to die. So talk about this thing. Destigmatize COVID-19, because when you start talking about it to your family, to your friends, you get all the support that you need. Also use the medication, natural herbs, ukufuta, but as soon as you get to the stage where you are battling with your breathing or oxygen, I've been advising my friends to say immediately, go to the hospital. And then the last advice from me, Chawe, would be trust in God. When you are sick with COVID-19, you need to trust in God, so that nawe uzoba kwinani labantu abathi umphefumulo wethu usindile njengendaka emgibeni wababambisi. If you trust God, I can tell you, you will be saying those words. Thank you, Bob.
Okay. All right. I just need to read another comment here. Nontekelelo saying, my mom is also positive. Oh my word. She's positive, and she says, my mom is also positive, and she's also under isolation at home, and she has a heart condition and high blood, but zonke, they are under control and the aching of the body. Okay. And Vianney Jolly, it would be better if you have a medical board, and otherwise, thanks, great info. And Nonimbeta saying, very insightful conversation, and the stories here. And Noni saying, hearing real stories really does matter. It makes a major difference. And you know, she says, thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your experiences and your stories. Be blessed and keep safe. Okay, now these are the comments that we're getting from people out there. And Chuma, you're parting short from your experience and your words of encouragement.
Mine is just to say to anyone who's positive or who might find themselves positive later, and I'll be using your words, of course, that you have to get to a point where you start fighting the fight of the mind and of the heart, and those two critical areas or organs of your body are very important. And when you have control over those two, then it's easy to reach your goals. It's easy to focus on what it is that you really want to achieve. And I in no way am a hero. That's all I did. I focused. I had to put my mind into it. I had to have my heart in the battle, and constantly remind myself that this thing is not going to beat me, and that's basically it. So it's the fight of the heart and of the mind.
Okay, great stuff. Great stuff. We're going to be wrapping up now. Madiba has to run. He has another show that's waiting for him that's starting at 6. And I just like this comment. Oh, they're looking for you already, Madiba. And Udumisa Mabusela says, Hlati, Mazaleni, Chawe, Madiba, siyabulela madoda ngobomi benu. He just wanted to say that. Thanks, Madiba. I know that you've got another show to step in now, but gentlemen, you guys, you stay with me because we have to give Uhlati his parting shots as well and hear what he is going to say. A lot of people saying, yeah, very, very, very informative. Social distancing is hard. Create a routine with activities you can do at home and do alone. Routine creates a sense of safety and decreases anxiety. Socialize virtually, and that's important what Zoe is saying. Zoe and Nati Netani saying socialize virtually so you receive the necessary support, and I think that's important, you know. And Shati, maybe let's come to you for your parting shot, you know, what you would then give to somebody either that's exposed or somebody that's already tested. Test symptoms that you could test. I'm not sure if the psychology of knowing if I'm positive.
For me, I would say, Shumaeli, COVID-19 is the ruthless and senseless thing of our time. It's such a shame that if we can get there was a right time, my figure generation. Let me speak to the infected and the affected. For me, we need to accept the fact that this is the new normal. Everything that is abnormal in terms of the spirit of Ubuntu, you cannot hug your parents and say it is going to be okay. You cannot actually allow your brothers and sisters to drive from Johannesburg to the Eastern Cape because they are endangered species. Between Johannesburg and the funeral in East London, anything can happen in terms of them being infected by the virus, let alone they're coming for the funeral. So we need to accept the fact that this is the new normal. So when the new normal is in the house, let us just deal with it as it comes. Because now expectations of zambiza zinkulu zininzi ngaphandle zokuthintana ngokutya, those things are things of the past. The new normal is in the house and it dictates that we need to maintain social distancing. And that is the order of the game.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. And Uluzuko Bua, Nochaholo, Uluzuko does it on my behalf. He says, Ningama Kawe, Okwenyani, Ndoza Gut, and Madiba Chawe Mazale Nothat, kudos to you, Joseph Kendi. And thank you so much, Chawe, and your team. Really, it's important to comply. Kucho votela. Pow! Bemelandi mbizela zocula kube khona esizawuvala. Ayo. Ekabutho votela. Thank you so much. Thanks, Buto, and thanks to all the people that have contributed and people that have come in showing namhlanje. And I want to show you this one. Manjumane mchana kwa Nyawuza pha makazipho siyabulela ngokusomeleza kule mfazwe sijongene nayo sililizwe. Inkosi kakhulu nithunyelwe nguNkulunkulu ukuthi thanks a lot kutsho ke umchana ka Nyawuza isithi yabulela kakhulu. Well, I want to say I salute you, gentlemen, and I salute any other COVID-19 victor who probably could not get to the show. And as we part our ways, please let us remember many families. We also lost a guest today because he lost a relative last night, and it's just hectic. The Kyacha family in Port Elizabeth also lost Ubiuti Unomtandazo Umimi Kyacha, and you know, it's shocking, it's terrible, and 3 other family members were admitted, and I think the wife to Pastor Chacha then was discharged this afternoon. But his sister, Unorots, is still in hospital, and prayers are mobilized. Prayers are requested for that family and many other families around the country. Many other families, indeed, who are faced with this situation. And thank you so much, gentlemen. We also wish that Chuma, that your twin sister also gets to recover, who also happens to work, in the front line. And COVID-19, I get him to. Ayikhethi isikyebi, ayikhethi ihlwempu, ayikhethi omnyama, ayikhethi omhlophe, ayikhethi isidudla, ayikhethi ibhityo, ayikhethi omfutshane, ayikhethi omde. COVID-19, anyone ingam-attack. So let us please abide by the safety regulations and comply, washing your hands all the time, sanitizing. But most importantly, and I think the panel will agree with me, if ifamily nganye ibiznosibuyisela ku-level 5, it would be better. If family nganye ibinozibuyisela ku-level 5, it would be better. And I told my family also, I said, guys, let's go back to level 5. Asishaye ngo-level 5 wethu. Kuphume umuntu oyi-1 olanda i-essential service kuphela, abuye angayabuli esithubeni. So bangaba bendinoyivala ke inkqubo ke namhlanje ndisitsho ndisithi igama lamphathi Mafani ndifuna ubulela phaya kwi-panel yethu uNdaba kaMandela, umzukulwana kaMadiba, and ebesinaye namhlanje naye ungene kwenye ishow ngoku. Siyabulela kakhulu ke kuMadiba, siyabulela kumazaleni, kumtika, kusabelo kahlanganisa uJwaha, siyabulela apha kuhlathi ulisa abantu abahlaliweni ngo-reverse, siyabulela kakhulu hlathi mlamli kamancala, and siyabulela nakuchuma. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thanks for the guides to fight. Thank you for the guts to fight. You've shown South Africa that through fighting it can be done. Thank you so much, and God bless. Good night. Next week on this program on Thursday, we'll be having Advocate Graham Mushwana. We'll be talking on labor matters. Ngalo exesha le-COVID. Nabantu abakhabathekayo emsebenzini ngexesha le-COVID. So I want you to listen carefully next week. We'll be dealing with pertinent legal issues ngexesha le-COVID. So Graham Mushwana will be with me in conversation in the studio next week on Thursday. Same place, same time. Good night and goodbye.